First off, this is the third episode of season 2, so
Of the
number
TurnBased
3
podcast. Of course,
of the
I'm
TurnBased podcast.
your lovely, gracious, beautiful milk chocolate host, Rico the Best, Rico X Payne, or the Dark Knight, whichever you prefer. I'll take all, And you know who started calling me milk chocolate? Sarah Knight. I'm going to beat her up for that. Anywho, wait, can I say that? It's still March. Anywho, and we have...
Fruitcake, the co-host of this podcast. Hello, everyone. I don't have that many titles as Riku. I actually thought you were going to go longer because usually you go for.
I always forget something. Every single recording
minutes.
on the podcast, I forget something. I swear I do. There's something I forgot to say.
And I am super happy to announce that we have a wonderful guest today, Jiangxi, or I don't know if you want me to call you Elise or AKA Jiangxi, or
you can
what
call
do you
me
prefer?
Either one. I go by both at this point. I feel like a lot of people call me Elise, but so I usually do like Elise, aka Jiangxi, because everyone calls me Elise. But either one works.
Okay, well, we have Elise, aka Jiangxi. She is a streamer on Twitch. Also does cosplay, which I love your cosplays, by the way. And recently, got partnered by Twitch. So congratulations on that as well.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much. I still am processing it.
Nice.
Please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, what you stream, and all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. So I stream primarily first playthroughs on my stream. I stream a lot of turn-based RPGs. I play a lot of visual novels. I play a lot of action RPGs. Pretty much anything that has like a great story or that's known for a great story. I like to experience those for the first time with my community. It's usually very fun. I do like to do a lot of cosplay streams, so you'll see me do a lot of those. And I end up playing through games like super slowly because I'm very talkative. I like getting to know my community a lot, so I prioritize chat interaction. Sometimes more often than playing the game, but I do love playing the game.
Nice.
So I don't know. I tend to talk about a lot of different things, ranging from like serious issues, because I think talking about like mental health and what it's like being neurodivergent are important. And then I like to talk about silly things like anime and manga, or all the different series that I'm into, which I'm sure you can see a lot of things in my background. I have a lot of interests that I'm very passionate about. So
I know that's super awesome. I love being on your streams. Actually, I'll lurk once in a while on your streams, and I absolutely love that you decided to play the Kingdom Hearts series because that's one of my favorite series.
It's part of my name.
I've been
Let's
super.
go.
Oh, thank
and
you.
I've been really enjoying just like seeing you play and your reactions to the characters and what's going on in the game. So, you and. Like you said, you're very talkative, and which is a great thing because you're very communicative, like communicating to your audience, and you do talk about a lot of things as well. And you just harbor such a safe space on your stream, which is why I love lurking on there once in a while. So
thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. I try my best.
Yeah,
I do love Kingdom Hearts a lot.
Yeah,
So-
I'm glad you're enjoying it, but I end up lurking a lot in people's streams too, and I mean, of course, yours is one of the streams, and I find it super, for me at least, like super hard to stream like those story heavy games because I really want to get into the game and also, make sure you're conversing with chat and whatnot and kind of balancing that out. I find that very difficult as well, when still trying to get into the game, or if it's like a first time series for you, I find it a little more difficult, but it definitely can be fun.
I think it's interesting. Like different people struggle with different things. Because like when I would play Monster Hunter, I felt like I had such a harder time like, balancing everything because you had to focus on so much. Whereas like with a lot of the story games I'm playing, and I will say this, a lot of the ones that I'm playing are a little bit older. But I also have no problems like pausing games and then just talking. Like what I like about Kingdom Hearts is that I can pause at really any point. I did the same thing with like Final Fantasy VIII too, where I paused a lot. I think there's one time where I paused in a fight for like an hour and I was just talking with people with Final Fantasy VIII. Oh yeah, nice. I've done that before and it's fine. But like I feel like games like that where it's like I can easily pause and like talk with everyone without whatever we want to talk about and then jump right back in are nice for me.
I think that's definitely a talent because, a lot of people go on Twitch and they watch people do a lot of gameplay. In my opinion, I feel like it's a lot harder to keep people's attention when you're also like chatting and talking. But I feel like you do a really good job at including everybody in your chat. So it doesn't seem like you're just having this one conversation with this one person in chat. It feels like you're having a good conversation with your entire audience, which is I think why a lot of people really don't mind you, just chatting and pausing the game.
Oh, thank you. I try my best. I feel like it can be very difficult to like keep up with everything, but I think like as you continue streaming, and I'm sure both of you can attest, I do think it gets like easier to like manage things a little bit more. But I feel like I'm learning all the time, like things that I'm capable of and things that I'm not.
Yeah, Monster Hunter
I don't know.
I was gonna say Monster Hunter was definitely one of those games I really enjoy playing, but it was hard for me to stream because it takes away so much of my attention. Learning the monster's pattern and just trying to keep up with the chat, make sure I'm not behind on comments and stuff. So that's definitely one of the few games I do have an issue with, ironically. But in anything really that's just heavy on the story and stuff. But I mean, I'm getting better at it, right? I think.
But yeah, I love being on your stream because you're also playing some of my favorite games because 8 is my favorite Final Fantasy.
I was going to bring that up
in the series. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I've been enjoying just watching you get into these games that I played when I was younger. And so it's refreshing to see someone who hasn't played those games before. It's good to see their reactions and stuff because, I mean, back when I played those games, there wasn't really any YouTube where you could just like see people's reactions to a game. You're just with your own reaction. But when it comes to games, what are some of your favorite, like story-wise?
Ooh, okay. So I guess if we're going story-wise, because at first I thought it was gonna be like my top 5 favorite games, and I'm like, I know those.
Shit you with a change up.
Easy peasy. But with the change up of the story games, that's an interesting one. Because like I love Soulsborne lore, but I don't really consider those games to be story games. Like they have such interesting lore, but they're not like the most story driven. Exactly. I feel like most of the time when you're playing those, it is cool if you learn that information, but they're not like story driven. But my favorites would have to be, I love Majora's Mask. That's my favorite game of all time.
Nice.
I don't know if it was obvious by this light, but I really love that game. But yeah, it's my absolute favorite game. I grew up on the Zelda series, so I love them all, but that one is by far my favorite. I love Alice Madness Returns. That's one of my favorite games, and I think the story is super interesting. I love the American McGee's like Alice games. I just think they have very interesting stories and very interesting gameplay mechanics too, because they're platform action RPGs. I don't know. I love that game. And then I would say the Somnium Files. I love the story of that game, and I love the characters. I love the music. I think it is a very underrated like game series. I played it for the first time last year, and I really loved it. I love Kaname Date. I think he's one of the best characters ever. I highly recommend it. It's a visual novel, but I feel like a lot of visual novels get written off as being a lot of reading, but it's fully voice acted. And it has gameplay mechanics too that like you wouldn't normally find like in say like Ace Attorney and things that are more like stereotypical visual novel that I think make it a bit more like of an interactive experience. So if you're looking for a cozy game that's also very fun and very well written, I recommend that one.
That one's kind of like a mystery one, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, she told me about that one. I have it on my Steam wish list just in case if it goes on sale, I'll remember it. But don't want to get my hopes up.
It goes on sale a lot. It was on sale when the sequel came out for like $8, and it goes on sale quite often. So keep your eye out for it.
Oh, I definitely will.
Usually whenever Spike Chunsoft does like a publisher sale, it'll be part of it. And sometimes they'll do bundle deals, like with Nirvana Initiative, which is the sequel. I'm not sponsored in any way. I just really love it.
Noted.
I just really like it. But I also, I would say Crisis Core Reunion is also one of them. And then
you really love Zach.
Final Fantasy VIII. I do. I love Zach's story a lot. I think it's one of like the best stories in the Final Fantasy series. But Final Fantasy VIII is up there as well, and so is Final Fantasy IX. I don't know. Those two I can't decide between, like, which one. Like, out of the mainline Final Fantasies, I still can't decide between those two. Like, which one's my favorite.
Vanessa, what about you? Oh, sorry. Oh, you're still going. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say because Crisis Core wins. But
I still have to finish Crisis Core. I was playing it before I moved, but then, I moved, PC didn't work, then I got to re-download stuff and whatnot. No, I was going to ask a question for Vanessa as well, as far as, like, the favorite games. If you had to pick one for, like, story-wise, real quick, like, what would be...
Story-wise?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm just going to answer as well real quick because, podcast is about Elise this episode.
Honestly, I would probably say it's between 2 games, I think. Or maybe 3, actually.
Tales of Symphonia and...
Yeah, I was going to say Tales of Symphonia, most likely. Eternal Darkness, which is a horror, but it takes place with a lot of, like, history background, and I love history, and to merge history and horror together, I absolutely love the story in there, and it's pretty dark too. And also Final Fantasy 14. That one, that story, it's long, but it's so good. I haven't cried so much in a game since in a while until I ended up playing Final Fantasy 14 from ARR to Endwalker. So
I thought it was funny to see you cry when you streamed, but I looked back at the VOD. I was like, okay, I'm about to watch Vanessa cry. Finally playing the game, and I watched the VOD. I was like, okay, why am I sad now? I can't.
It's so sad. I don't want to say too much, but they do a good job. The 14 people, the guys who work on Final Fantasy 14, especially the story writers, they do such a good job at creating relationships with your character, because your character's interacting with these characters, so they do a good job of creating a relationship with your character and with other characters, and they'll pull a character or like a scene from one expansion and bring it all the way up to date to the latest expansion. You're like, it really pulls on your heartstrings. So I definitely recommend 14 if you got the time. if you have the time.
The game is super fun. But I dropped it twice because of time constraints. But for me, if I had
hard.
It's super hard. It's so fun. If I had to pick like one of my favorite games story wise, it would have to be Metal Gear Solid. 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Yeah.
I love that whole series.
Okay,
that is a good one.
I've never played those. I'm not good at stealth. I am not a stealth.
I'm the worst person at stealth in history, dude. Like, I'll try my best and still fail.
Honestly.
Right?
I don't think I've ever met someone
really
who's like
it.
Like, it's such a fun game. Yeah. And that was one of the few games I played while growing up, as well as some Zelda, but I didn't beat Ocarina of Time. I think my brother did. 3 other brothers that are
There's
older.
There's still time.
Oh, yeah, I love Zelda.
You can always go back.
Oh, no, I 100%. That's why I played Link to the Past. I was starting from there because I never finished that as a kid. And I went back in. Boom. I went back and beat it. And now I actually want to play Wind Waker over again. That one I actually did beat as a kid. I love Wind Waker.
Oh, Wind Waker's good.
That game. That's my second favorite Zelda game. I really hope they put it on Switch one day, but it's okay.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Oh, I really hope so too. That would be amazing. I would love. Honestly, they should put more like GameCube games on the Switch.
Yeah,
they need to, like Path of Radiance, which is just stuck on GameCube forever.
And ever and ever.
It's so sad. It's honestly so heartbreaking.
But yeah, definitely Metal Gear Solid is, oh my god. I don't know if you would vibe with the game because, like you said, you aren't heavy in stealth, but I do think story wise is very, very good and very fun.
I will say, like, I think even with games that, like, I don't vibe with the gameplay necessarily, I'll enjoy, like, watching people play them. Like, I've learned through Twitch that there are a lot of games where it's, like, I may not enjoy playing them myself, but I love watching people play through it, and, like, maybe I'll experience the story that way. Like, that might be something that I try to do with Metal Gear Solid, because, like, Hollow Knight was one of those games for me where it's, like, I tried to play it because so many of my friends love it. But the gameplay just didn't click for me. But I love watching my friends play it, and I think it is a really good game. It's just not a gameplay that I enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that happens sometimes too.
I feel like also when you get older, your taste in games change. Because I know when you started gaming, you used to play a lot of Ragnarok online, right?
Yeah. I did. I love
and
Ragnarok
it's funny
Online.
because I used to play Ragnarok Online too.
Oh my god, you guys are vibing right now. Bonding time.
Yeah.
It's
a great game.
It is. It was a really good game. I mean, I don't know if it's still. I know they released something recently about it, but I haven't been keeping up with it. But that's also where your name is from, right?
Yeah, it is. I got inspired by Munich and Bongun from the game because I loved their designs and I liked wearing their hats. I remember specifically grinding like with a friend to get the hats and then to get like their pet taming items. I just loved their designs and I thought they were cool ever since I was young. So that's how my username came to be. And it's helped me meet a lot of Ragnarok Online like previous players, which is cool.
Oh, you guys like talk about like the olden days, okay?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
How has your like taste in games changed from, you know, going from Ragnarok to now? Have you seen like a shift of the kinds of games that you play?
I would say yeah, in a way, because I played a lot of Ragnarok Online. It's the only MMO that's ever like I've been consistent with, for example. Like I play Final Fantasy 14, but I'm very behind. Just because I think MMOs are harder to keep up with as you get older. You have less free time.
That's true.
But I will say as a kid, and I talk about this a lot on my stream too, I could not really buy games for myself. It was games that like my parents would get for me or that family members would get for me if I asked them for it for like a birthday or Christmas or whatever. So I really only grew up on like Pokemon, Zelda, like the Mario games that were multiplayer because I had two sisters, so we needed games that we could play together so that one person wasn't hogging the console the whole time. And I would play like Hamtaro games. That was things that I played because I loved Hamtaro growing up. I was obsessed. So I mainly played like Nintendo games is how I describe it to people. I did play Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life on the PS2, which was amazing. But for a while that was pretty much all I knew. Like I didn't know really any turn-based RPGs. I think the only ones that I played, if you don't count Pokemon, was like Chrono Trigger, and that's it. And so like I didn't start playing Final Fantasy, for example, until 15 came out, and my roommate loved Final Fantasy and was like, we should get it and then we can both play it. And I'd never played Final Fantasy, so I thought, yeah, sure, like why not? We can go like halvesies on it and then we'll go back and forth and play it. And so like that was my introduction to the Final Fantasy series, and I loved 15. And so now as an adult, I've learned there's so many RPGs that I just missed out on as a kid from like the PS1 era, the PS2 era, even Super Nintendo, like things like that. I missed out on so much just because I had no exposure to it. Like I missed out on Kingdom Hearts. I missed out on all of those things. Kingdom Hearts surprised me because it's very Disney. I had a Disney childhood, but like I missed out on it. Like it just wasn't on my radar. If I learned anything about me, I feel like I'm like, you know how like horses have those little like blinders on them, so they like only focus on like what's in front of them.
Like
I feel like as a kid with gaming, I only knew what I knew, and if like I just didn't have like the desire as a kid to like branch out too far, and I didn't see like commercials and things like that for other games. So as an adult, I've kind of like branched out and like tried new things and realized that like I love visual novels. I love turn-based RPGs. So I've basically been going back and playing games that I think I would have enjoyed. I just never had the opportunity to play. And it's been really cool because a lot of people will come in and it'll have been like their childhood and they express like how important it is to them. And it's becoming important to me. Like Kingdom Hearts, I'm kind of glad that I played some Final Fantasy games before playing it because I get so excited seeing Final Fantasy characters that I know.
Right.
So it's really cool. So I don't know. It's been such a great experience. And yeah, I think that's how it's changed really for me is I just feel like I'm more open to trying like new genres. And
you know, sometimes that's a good thing because especially older games, when you're younger, sometimes you'll miss a lot of things or not understand a part of the story or understand like a character's arc or the struggles that they're going through. So it's good to sometimes play those games when you're a lot older because then you pick up on things that maybe the story writers wrote in, but because, you know, people were so young when it came out, they didn't pick up on that, you know? So it's nice to see like your reactions as someone who's older playing these retro games. I guess cool. Retro.
Yeah, they feel retro at times, I will say, because I played Final Fantasy VIII on the Vita, which was the PS1 like version with the graphics, but I thought it was so charming. Like, I don't know. I think when they remaster things, it's so cool because obviously you get to see them in like the HD. Like, you get to see HD beautiful Squall, but there's something about pixelated Squall that just hits different, you know?
That's true.
Like, you're the most handsome guy here. He's the most handsome guy here, and he's just a pixelated face. It hits different, you know?
Yeah,
it's a beautiful moment. But the cutscenes in that game aged beautifully, and the backgrounds in that game were phenomenal, in my opinion. Like, I feel like it just looked gorgeous, even though it was PS1. I don't know. I didn't grow up with it, but it gave me a lot of nostalgia, just like playing it with its graphics. I thought it was beautifully done.
Dude, I still feel so weird
I don't know.
that being the age that I am, I've never played Final Fantasy VII growing up. Although we had it. My brother played Final Fantasy, so I would watch him play, but, you know, I never played it myself. We weren't really allowed to touch his PS1 because, you know, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, because I grew up with 3 other brothers. I'm the youngest of 4, right? And we all had like separate consoles, and ours broke, but whatever the case may be. And then, of course, oldest brother had his own console in his room. You know, he had his games, Final Fantasy VII, and he played Metal Gear Solid as well. Like, I would watch him play a lot of games, and when I was getting older, a lot of stuff there's still a lot of games I never really play. Like RPGs, I severely lacked. I played like a lot of fighting games and shooting games because, like you said, you grew up with siblings, and, you know, something all you guys can play together instead of just, you know, one person on the console. And that's how it was for me, definitely. I got into RPGs a bit late. I want to say around the time I was in college, I started getting into more RPGs because I went to school for game production. I don't want to take up too much time. My friend did a presentation on this game called Tales of Vesperia. And at the time, the North American version, it was on Xbox 360, but, you know, the actual, the original copy was on PlayStation 3 only in Japan. And I was like, you know, let me check this game out. And then once I played Tales of Vesperia, I started playing a lot of games. A lot of Final Fantasy games. I played Dragon Quest. I didn't finish it because of time restrictions again. And
I love Dragon Quest.
Fire Emblem and just a ton. RPGs are definitely my favorite type of games to play right now. Definitely. RPGs are definitely my favorite.
They're fun.
Oh, yeah. I love them so much. I'm playing Octopath Traveler right now,
easy.
actually. So
to like jump back in, like you can like pop out and jump back in. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
Yeah, some.
I will say,
because I'll
like
get lost
Dragon
on the
Quest.
story.
I feel like you can, but at least early Dragon Quest, Dragon Quest 11 might be a little bit harder, but that one's also really long. It's like over 100 hours.
Why
so,
is
do I love it all the same? Yeah. Okay.
Because I was playing that too, I think.
It's so good. It's worth it. I love Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 11 was my first Dragon Quest, and I loved it so much.
Is that the one that came out on PS4 a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it came out on Switch, PS4, and like PC.
Okay, that's my first Dragon Quest as well.
It's a good one.
It is.
It's really good.
The games I don't play.
I'm gonna
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Yeah. I'm gonna move us a little bit off topic.
Of course you will.
Before you guys go full nerd on me.
That's okay. That's my one mode. I only know how to do that.
I love it. I love it. I love that you guys are like, it's nice to see people who are passionate about games, especially since, you know, I'm a gamer too, and I love seeing the passion with that. But speaking of passions, I know that you recently worked, I think for you did a stream for what was it, Women's History Month with what was the charity or the organization you worked with?
So it wasn't a charity. It was actually my friends Megan, Coffee Cat, Polly Mune, and me. We decided to do like a raid train event where we invited a bunch of different women of like all different backgrounds to just be a part of it. And essentially what it was for like that week. I think it was March 2nd through March 8th. It would just be like one person started it, and then we would raid into other like women the entire time. So everybody had like a designated slot. And then at each slot, each woman would share like their experience, whether it was like in the streaming space, in the tech space, in any space really. It was just so that they could share their experiences. And it was just in celebration of Women's History Month and to celebrate the theme, which was embrace equity. So everyone was supposed to like talk about like their experience as a woman, why they think equity is important, etc., like some of the struggles that they've had. And I thought it was a very like fun event. I got to learn about a lot of different experiences that many different women have. Like I am not very tech oriented. So hearing about how some of the people who work like in STEM, some of their struggles, that was kind of eye-opening for me, just because obviously I'm not a part of that world. So I didn't have those types of experiences. It was also just interesting to hear about like other women's experiences, like women of color. We had the trans women who were a part of it that shared like their struggles and different perspectives. So that's really what it was. But yeah, it was just supposed to be like an event to like celebrate Women's History Month and kind of like uplift other women creators on the platform.
And I remember being on your stream when you were doing that, and you were talking about, you know, with equity and how it's not just about opportunities for everyone, but the kind of opportunities that are catered or I guess customized to the specific person. And you talked about being neurodivergent. And so I was like, oh, you know, I've heard of it before, but I never really, I guess, dug or Googled it as much. But you talking about that made me want to look it up. And so I looked it up and saw a little bit about what it is. But for our viewers who might not know, can you describe what neurodivergent is? And especially I guess you have a specific one. And
I do.
If you want to talk about that one.
Yeah, sure. So being neurodivergent, it's essentially like an umbrella term that describes many different things. All it means is that the person who is neurodivergent, their brain does not operate in the same way that society deems as typical. That's all that means. But it includes like a number of different things. So like people who have PTSD, for example, can be considered neurodivergent. ADHD is considered like being neurodivergent. And then autism spectrum disorder, which is what like I have, that is considered being neurodivergent. But if you like look it up and like look up like what the umbrella term covers, it covers a lot of different things. I think most people just use neurodivergent because it is like the umbrella term for it, and it just helps people like understand it. But yeah, specifically I have autism spectrum disorder.
How and with that, how has that I mean, seeing that you know you stream and stuff, has that hindered you in any way when it comes to streaming?
I wouldn't say it's hindered me in any way. I used to be pretty anxious about it. I think that's part of the reason why I was nervous about streaming in the first place, is because when I was a kid, I was definitely like bullied and kind of like not seen as normal. So a lot of people would like make fun of me or call me weird and things like that. And there are certain things that like are a part of it that I don't do like on stream because I was bullied for it. Like for anyone that has like autism spectrum disorder or ADHD, people like will fidget or they have like stimming, which I have something like I always have a pen on me. And usually I'll like play with the pen, like I'll flap it like this, but you'll notice on streams I don't do that. If you ask anybody that hangs out with me in person, they'll bring it up all the time. Like they'll say like Elise always has a pen on her if you need it, or like anything like that. Not in a make fun of way. It's just like a thing that people notice about me. I tend not to do that on stream just because I have been made fun of for it so much that I just don't want to open it for like that opportunity. Most people are super understanding though, and I don't think they ever would make fun of me. It's more so just like a personal boundary that I've established because I'm just too nervous to do it. But like but there's certain things like that where it's like there are things that like I will talk about. Like I talk about that openly on my stream, that is something that I do. It just helps me feel more comfortable in the same way that I think fidgeting helps people like who have ADHD feel a little bit more comfortable. Just like moving around, things like that, or like having a fidget toy or a fidget spinner, those can just help a person feel more at ease. That's how that stimming is for me. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's really hindered in any way. If anything, I think streaming has helped me like connect with other people who are neurodivergent, whether it's like they are also autistic or they are ADHD or any of the other things that fall under being neurodivergent. And I kind of love that. Like I noticed, you know how Twitch added like the impressions thing where you can see how people find you like via tags?
Yes. Yeah.
I find that a lot of people have actually found me through the neurodivergent tag. And I think that's really cool because it's actually like helped me connect with other people who are like similar to me, and we can share those similar experiences. And I actually enjoy that I started streaming. I'm glad that I kind of pushed myself to do it because I now see my space as a way to like help people understand one another better, because I feel like a lot of things that we consider like, oh, it's common sense, like people should know these things. People who are neurodivergent may not know that. They may need you to be like more direct with them and like explain like, oh, that's not usually like okay, or like, oh, like setting boundaries, like being more direct. So I think it just helps like bridge that gap and have those conversations of like, not everyone like thinks in the same way. So it is important to kind of be open and like just communicate with people a little bit better, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's helped a lot.
Yeah, no, I really like I said, I'm glad that you talk about it and you're open about it, because I didn't even know. And then literally it was that stream that I was like, oh, like I never knew that you were neurodivergent. And I was like, I'm going to Google that because I'm curious. And I will say it was a lot of information because like you said, neurodivergent is an umbrella term. And so whenever you Google an umbrella term, you get all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. But no, that's really cool that you're open about that. And I feel like Twitch definitely is such a platform that brings communities and people together, and people who may feel like they don't have like an outside group or an outside community to go to, they can always go on Twitch. And that's great that you've gotten some people that also fall under the neurodivergent. I'm glad that you were able to connect with them as well. So that's super awesome. And so
it's been cool.
Yeah. Also, like, is there any with neurodivergency, especially like your specific one, does it come with any like challenges outside of Twitch, like when you're out with people or being out in like groups or public?
I would say kind of yes. I'm also very introverted. So I feel like I'm not usually out in public very often or like with crowds of people. But I will say this, like if I ever do go out with friends and I'm in public, I feel like the biggest thing for me is that I don't always catch on to social cues. Or like when people are joking. It's happened a lot like in streams and off streams where people will say a joke and I'll take it very literally, and so I'll respond to it literally, and they'll be like, oh no, I was just kidding, and I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, like it doesn't like click for me that somebody is joking. It's usually if they like ask a question in a joking way, I just can't tell. Like I might think that they could be joking, but I'm not sure, and I would rather respond seriously in case that they're not, or it's just like I genuinely can't tell. So I feel like there are often times where I'm oblivious to things that other people may not be. Most of the time friends are understanding though. I feel like a lot of my friends know me pretty well to the point where like they're prepared for those types of things.
Yeah.
But it's why I always tell my friends, like, if I ever do anything or like if anything ever happens that they like need to tell me something, just to be direct with me, because if they try to like be passive aggressive or like try to make it obvious with like facial expressions or like things like that, I might not understand or like get it. Like certain things will just fly right over my head. So yeah, I feel like it's usually those types of things that kind of go over my head, that I might need like a little bit of explanation.
It's so hard to be sarcastic online, though. I'm just like, when someone's making a joke online, I'm like, are you joking or are you being serious?
It's funny because somebody like me is normally sarcastic like 90% of the time, but unfortunately I am sensitive as well. So it's like, I do joke a lot, but sometimes I can't take jokes. It's weird. I'm getting better at it. Obviously, much better than I was before I started being on the internet. And oh my God, I guess, made every situation worse. Jesus Christ. But that's social media in general.
I will say, I think the thing about being sarcastic in regards to that is like, it's just a matter of, I think you should only really use sarcastic humor with people like,
Oh yeah.
Like, I think we talk about this all the time where it's like, if a first time like person like says anything to you that's like sarcastic, obviously like that's not going to be like seen well versus like somebody that like saying that something sarcastic. So I don't know. I feel like it just lands differently. Like if you know the person well, you might be able to like pick up on that a little bit more. But if it's somebody that you don't know very well, obviously it's not 100%. And you might take it badly, which is why I think everyone came up with the idea of like Twitch etiquette, like don't do playful rudeness, I think is like the big one. Because you don't know if people like that humor. Yeah,
that's very true.
But I don't know. I think also like if you're not okay with sarcastic humor being like thrown back at you, I think that's totally fine. Or like if somebody ever makes a joke that you don't like, I think it's totally within like your rights to like set that boundary and be like, you know what, I didn't like that joke. Don't do it.
Yeah,
and hopefully they're understanding.
It's a little bit easier, of course, with emotes and stuff, but just plain text, it's always hard to get like some type of emotion or feeling from that conversation. Okay, it's like you really, like you said, you really have to know the person enough and you know their mannerisms, and if they just type this, oh, they're just joking around and stuff like that. But yeah, it all comes to, like you said, knowing that person. And
But that's good that you set boundaries as well, because with streaming especially, you meet all kinds of people, and we talked about this on our last episode of our podcast, where the streamer shapes their community and their stream. So having those boundaries, you set those boundaries with the hopes of creating a community that is a safe place for not only the rest of your community but for you as well. So
yeah.
But anyways, other than that, I want to actually talk about your cosplays, because as a cosplayer, it makes me so happy to see that you're getting into cosplay, and I have to say, it seems like you're having so much fun. Like that's what I like to see. It seems like you're having so much fun doing cosplay. What got you into cosplay, actually?
So the funny thing is I've actually like always wanted to cosplay ever since I was in like middle school. It's more so just I never felt confident enough to. Like the way that I explain it to people is I've been into anime and manga since I was a little kid. I loved magical girl anime. I grew up on like Cardcaptor Sakura, Magic Knights Rares, Sailor Moon. Tokyo Mew Mew was like the first manga series I ever owned.
That's awesome.
I really loved it so much. And I remember I also got bullied for reading manga in school because I would bring Tokyo Mew Mew and be reading it, and people would be like, "When are you reading? That's weird." And I'm like, "Leave me alone. I'm reading about magical girls, and they're going to save the world and me." But the point is like, I always thought it would be cool to dress up as these characters. And I saw later on, like, because Anime Expo obviously like became a thing, and my sister would go to it. And I remember like seeing pictures of like cosplayers and being like, I would love to do that. But like, I don't think I could ever like pull off a character. And also I didn't know how to make anything. I didn't know how to sew. And back then I feel like you had to craft like your own cosplays. There wasn't as much like availability of like pre-made cosplays and things like that back then.
That's very true.
So I just was so intimidated, and I felt like I was also insecure and didn't think I would be able to do it. And then it wasn't until I think like 2018, 2019 maybe. Yeah, I think 2019. But Linda, Vampy Bit Me, actually always encouraged me to do it. Like I would mention like, I think I want to cosplay this character, but I'm not sure. And she would be like, you should do it. Like you should absolutely give it a try.
That sounds like her.
Like, so encouraging. Like she's so sweet. And her encouraging me to just try it and like see if I enjoyed it is what inevitably like led me to like try to do it. And so I started out small. Like I started out just using like my natural hair and like only doing blonde cosplays. And then like my first ever cosplay like with a wig I think was Kyoko Kirigiri from Danganronpa. But yeah, ever since that like time period, I've just loved it. And I feel like it's just gradually like gotten more and more like obsessed the more that I do. Like I just keep wanting to do more. And now I really want to learn how to like craft my own. But yeah, I do really love cosplay. I think it's great that like pre-mades have become so readily available in the sense of like it is nice that people who may not have been able to like get their foot in the door with cosplay now can. I think it's very cool like how accessible it's become. So that's neat. But yeah,
that's true.
A really cool hobby. I love it.
I'm glad you're having so much fun. And it's so true. It's gotten so much easier for people to get into cosplay. Back in the day, it was just so hard to even find tutorials on how to make anything. So it's nice. Now it's nice to see people getting into cosplay and not having to be hindered by the fact that there's no accessibility or no materials to work with and stuff like that. So it's nice to see people get into cosplay because, yeah, definitely back in the day, it was a lot harder. It was a struggle. And I feel like people are also more accepting because, again, with the whole, like, making your costume or buying a costume, I feel like nowadays people are just accepting that no matter if you buy or make your costume, you're considered a cosplayer.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that people like the cosplay community has evolved to what it is now, for sure. So if you can tell us, what are some cosplays that you want to do in the future?
Oh, okay. I mean, I have some dream cosplays that feel like they are very like far off into the future. Like one of my dream cosplays now is Ultimisia from Final Fantasy VIII. I think I would love to cosplay her, but that is one that would take a while. That is one that would take a very long time. But that's like a very big dream cosplay of mine. I think I would also love to do what's another one that I would really like? I want to cosplay Link. I love Zelda.
Nice.
And so I think I would love to cosplay Link at least once. I don't know which Link, but I really want to at some point because I love him so much. And then I would love to do Monster Hunter armor one day. I don't know what armor, but I just think it would be cool because I love Monster Hunter so much. So that would be neat. More realistic cosplays would probably be like Mitsuri from Demon Slayer. I cosplay her a lot, but I haven't done her official outfit yet, so I would love to do her. And then I want to like revamp my female Zack cosplay a little bit and bring that back.
Oh yeah,
because I love Zack Fair.
Her love for Zack Fair is unmatched, I might say. Her love for Zack is unmatched.
I've never been the one to cosplay, but I've always enjoyed seeing them. Like some of my favorite characters. I remember a convention I went to a couple years ago. It was a local convention in my state, and I used to see like a lot of Persona 5 cosplays. I'm like, yo, this is sick. Just taking all the pictures. This Joker.
So cool.
Yeah, it was like a whole line of different Jokers. I was like, yo, this is really dope. I've never even... I mean, if I were to cosplay, the one character I was thinking of would be like, what's the guy's name from Final Fantasy 13? The Saz. Saz would be like the only. So yeah, I don't know if you play 13, but Saz was probably like the only character I consider cosplaying as. But I just enjoy seeing it rather than doing it myself and whatnot. So I thought that was really cool. But I do have do we have enough time, Vanessa, with the questions that you have and the time?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to say, how did you get into Monster Hunter? Because I know for Vanessa's scenario, I think Linda is the one that got her into Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So for me, randomly, like a friend recommended 3 Ultimate to me back in the day. And I bought it used at GameStop. And then I did not get into it very well. Like I sucked at it. And I didn't have anybody to teach me anything. And Monster Hunter games back then, like, did not teach you anything at all. True. It was just like, here you go.
give you a stick and go have fun.
Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And like that one had underwater combat too. So it was just like, so I like stopped playing it. And then with 4 Ultimate, I remember it came out the same day as Majora's Mask 3D. Never forget. And my like partner at the time was super into Monster Hunter, and obviously I really liked Majora's. So I agreed to play Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate with them if they played Majora's Mask. So I was like, sure, we'll do it.
Ultimate deal.
I feel like you're really happy about that, just to get him to play Majora's Mask since you love that game so much.
I really do love Majora's Mask, but the thing is I ended up really loving 4 Ultimate. We ended up getting like a lot of our friends to play it. And so we would like all play together. Like some of our college friends would play with us, and it was really fun, and I loved it. I was a Charge Blade main. Did I use the weapon properly from the get-go? Absolutely not. But I learned how to use it later, and that's what matters. But that's how I got into it, and I did end up really liking it. I have played every single one since, and I went back and played earlier ones. But I do love that series a lot, and I love stories.
I watched you play stories.
Needs more appreciation. I love stories.
Is that your favorite in the series?
4 Ultimate is my favorite of the mainline series. But I love stories so much. I originally got a Japanese 3DS back in the day so that I could play stories because I wasn't sure if it would get localized here. I was just so excited for it, and I just think it's so well done. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I would always watch you play stories like, yo, this is dope. I like this. Turn-based. Hey, yo, sign me up. But then sadly, I got busy. Yeah, and it's super adorable.
It is. Yeah, it is. But that's awesome. Like, I think that's how I found you, was through Monster Hunter.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of people found me through Monster Hunter. I don't stream it as much anymore, but that's just because I have nothing really to do in Rise and in other and other stuff like that. So I just kind of, whenever that happens, I kind of just wait until the next Monster Hunter, and then I'll bring it back.
Yeah, I just met everybody through World. Yeah. That was when they had like the 16-player lobby and the Gathering Hub, and you know, you can like World chill with your community. Yeah. Oh my God, I love World. I played so even before I met Vanessa, I played so much of World. That during that time, I also soloed it. So I don't remember what year it came out. Was it like 2017? I just know it came out in February, I think, because it came out the same day as Dragon Ball.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. Because I remember Dragon Ball FighterZ came out during that time too. When I used to play fighting games, I don't play fighting games anymore. Yeah. It's all about RPGs. shoot, go away, fighting games. And I started playing Monster Hunter because my friend used to mention it all the time back in college because he had the game on like PSP and then 3DS. Oh, I'm fighting monsters. Yeah, okay. And I learned a lot of games through college, ironically. And then that's when I saw World. I was like, you know what? My friend spoke good things about Monster Hunter World. Let me buy it and then play it, and then I never stopped playing it. My friend was even surprised that I still played it because like my save data would never. I had an issue with my save data transferring to my newer PS4 because I had issues with the older PS4, and then it didn't save. Yeah, I lost like 1,700 hours, and then I restarted over again. And that's honestly how I found Vanessa as well. She got me back through the whole story and stuff. She carried me. So.
Oh, that's so cute. I love
Put him on my back. And I started walking him through World.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that so much. Yeah, it's hard though to like restart Monster Hunter. That is a feat.
It is so much grinding in that game, dude. And I did everything solo initially, and it's like, yo, I don't know if I want to do this. My friend still calls me crazy to this day. I'm like, are you insane? Of course I'm crazy. But yeah, I just love Monster Hunter World. So that's why I'm really, really excited for like another sequel or just another iteration of Monster Hunter on like the main consoles and stuff, like a PS5 or a PC. I can't wait for another version of World. Oh my goodness, that game is just like...
Especially with games like Wild Hearts releasing, I feel like it's going to push the hunting like genre even more, and hopefully that will mean cross-platform for the next Monster Hunter. Hopefully,
I would love to see some.
I really hope that they do. I feel like there's nothing that they can like. There's no reason for them not to have it. You know, like after all of the complaints with it, I feel like they have to do it next time. And hopefully, obviously, every like gaming company that makes consoles is on board.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only thing that would hinder them, but hopefully that they're all on board.
I think I mentioned this last podcast too, that I feel like crossplay should be just a common thing in gaming nowadays. You know, we're seeing more and more games have it, but it's still those certain titles that don't exactly. I don't know how hard it is to implement. Obviously, you have to take into consideration like the PC and the servers and consoles and stuff. Like I don't get all that stuff. Okay, I'm just a player for the games, but it would be cool to see that as a norm, having. Obviously that, something else I like to bring up, like definitely colorblind mode should be a common thing in games, as well as arachnophobia in certain games, because, I mean, you know me, I don't deal with spiders.
It definitely needs to be more accessibility for sure.
It does. Yeah, I think accessibility options are always so important. It's why, like, I know certain remakes get a lot of criticism, because I know a lot of people would say things like, oh, this game did not need a remake. But then when you find out like all of the accessibility options that they added in said remake, I sometimes feel like when games are remade, even if the remake isn't like meant for you, it might be useful for like somebody else if it makes it more accessible to that person. So
That's
sometimes
true.
whether or not a game needs a remake, it's very like subjective. You might not need to play a remake, but that remake might add so many accessibility options that it makes it playable for somebody who couldn't play the original, which I think is really important to consider.
Exactly, and it introduces the game to a different audience as well. Especially with all these remakes that are coming out. It's like I said, it's nice to see some people play some of the games that I grew up with, and I'll watch them and I'll pick up on things in the game that I didn't pick up on when I was younger playing the game. So, I mean, it's great that they're doing all these remakes, and I hope games release more, or not games. I hope more devs release more games with accessibility and other options like that, so it's more, it reaches other people as well. So we have one question. So here we have asked some people to send us some questions. I also posted it on Twitter.
Oh, please
I don't know if you want to
again. Oh,
it is Wanta. Our Riku's favorite person in the world.
Yeah, okay. Worst mod ever.
Oh my god!
It's fine.
Well, mod appreciation day?
I was say, you can't say that.
He hates
it is
me
mod appreciation day. You're not allowed to say that.
It's mod appreciation.
Oh, is it really?
Day,
oh, okay. I love you for this one day.
Now Riku don't even know.
Sorry, I've been busy with YouTube. Okay, I'm sorry.
God, that's hilarious. Oh my god.
I love Wanta. Just don't tell him that.
So Wanta's question is: you're stranded on an island that mysteriously is able to power only one console/PC that can only play one game of your choosing for the rest of your life. What is the game?
What?
Also, bonus question: why does Riku smell funny?
See, I told you he hates me. See, it's
why
not just me.
I'm not gonna know the answer to the bonus question, but I think if I had to pick, I can only pick one game and one console or PC.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, picking a PC is just torture, because if you can only play one game on a PC, that's just sad. I think if I had to pick something, I would probably pick GameCube, and I would pick Wind Waker. You would think I would pick Majora's Mask, but I think Wind Waker, it would just be fun to like go on the Great Sea and listen to the song.
One game forever and ever?
I think Elise and I are best friends. So, sorry, Rika.
I can't do this. It's so hard for me to pick, man. What the?
I don't know. You have to pick a game, I feel like, with something like that. It has to be one that you can replay and like never get tired of.
That's very true, yeah.
Oh, okay. This might be more of a recent one. And, okay, so I would pick Fire Emblem Three Houses. I've beaten the game 4 times already.
Beat the game 4 times.
I've already beat. I'm gonna beat it a 5th time once I get the DLC. I'm savoring that moment.
God.
Okay.
That's a lot of 3 houses. But see, you'd be able to play that one. It would take up a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
That's true. So
that works.
Dodge the bullet on that one.
Man, one game. I'm gonna.
It's
this is really
it's hard.
It's hard.
Cause I'm weird because I get bored easily. So I have to pick a game that I know I'm gonna constantly always go back to. And it's gonna have to be a multiplayer game. Like I can't play solo games for the rest of my life.
But no.
Or one solo game for the rest of my life.
Dreamlight, that Disney game for you?
No, that's solo.
Nah, fair. Oh right.
I don't even play Dreamlight anymore. No, what? No. It'll probably be League of Legends.
Oh no! Get out of here!
Oh God!
No.
Oh no!
I know I'm gonna get shit for it, but I always go back to that game though. I always go back to the game, and I always play with my friends.
You're in timeout.
You're in
timeout.
I'm gonna have to choose
I try to get this lady off of League every single day. I swear.
You're on Wi-Fi, but would you have Wi-Fi on the island? What are they going to say about your ping?
Let's see. When I was in Korea though, I played on NA servers and I had 300 ping the whole time and I still played.
My hatred just went up.
That's not so bad,
I just like pain, I guess.
I feel like it's valid though. Once you spend enough money on League of Legends, you can't uninstall it and stop playing. You have to. You're committed, skins, man. At that point, because I think I still have it installed. I only play ARAMs at this point, but I will never uninstall it on principle alone. It's the most expensive free game I've ever played.
That is so true. Oh my God!
This podcast.
But that's the thing, though. You don't even have to play it that much, and you still have it installed. I only play ARAMs as well. And it's just one of those games. It's so bad, but it's also so good.
Yeah, it is fun. ARAMs are also just very fun for me. Even if people get kind of scary, because sometimes people can be scary when you play with random people. But if you're playing with all friends, it's usually fine. It's never an issue. So
exactly,
it can be fun still. You just have to avoid normals and ranked at all costs.
They're too long. That's why no one got time to do those games anymore.
How long are the normal? 30. You know how much I can do in 30 minutes? I can finish a video.
Dude, sometimes it's even longer than 30 minutes. I had one game.
Go for hours.
Yeah, one game I had an hour.
Yeah, they can go for a long time.
Oh no, League, ain't nobody got time for that. I got RPGs to finish. Hello, my backlog is crumbling.
Yeah, that's why I can't do normals or anything like that anymore. I learned having to dedicate 30 minutes to an hour to one game.
It's too much.
When it's not a story game, I'm I can't do that. I have
a visual representation of my backlog is her plushies in the back. That is my visual representation of my backlog right now.
That's your Steam library right now?
Yes, I really want to play through the Yakuza series, but I've never had the time to because I keep stacking games on. I apparently added Fire Emblem Awakening on my list. Ooh, good job, Riku. I still have to finish Wolong. I still have to finish beating Wild Hearts because I have that installed. I still have to finish Breath of the Wild. I've been holding it off until Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry.
Tears of the Kingdom is in 2 months. Not even.
But I always try to beat a game a week or 2 weeks because I end up beating Fire Emblem Three Houses the third time. No, the fourth time. The last time a week before Engage came out, which came out in January, I believe. So nice. I stalled it. I procrastinate with games even. I didn't even finish the God of War.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I just want to cry right now. That sounds better.
Riku's always having an existential crisis every podcast.
Well, yeah, you brought up League and made my life worse, Vanessa. You play that every single time you end stream, and I had to sit in there.
Yeah, Elise agrees with me though, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, it can be fun. You just have to give it a shot, okay?
Yeah,
just give it a try. Don't knock it till you try it. Once you try ARAMs, you'll have fun.
Yeah,
and then I wake up playing in my dreams.
No, but thank you, Elise, so much for chatting with us. I didn't realize that we have so much in common because you did say you had, what was it, 2 other sisters as well? Yeah. So there was 3 of you. Mm-hmm. I have 2 other sisters too. There's 3 of us as well.
They're all dweebs.
And you talking about growing up with Nintendo and GameCube. I was when you were telling the story, I was oh my God, I can totally relate because this is exactly how it was for me. We played a lot of Nintendo games and then moved up to to other games as well. But
yeah, same. I grew up with
Sonic,
Mario, Zelda.
I'm so glad.
That's why I like doing these interviews, because then I get to like learn more about my favorite people, man.
True. I don't feel tired anymore. I'm actually happy.
Yay!
It's always when I'm not talking to someone,
I
feel down, but when I start talking to someone, it's like I feel better now. Heck yeah!
That's
well, at least has that effect on us, you know. At least has that effect.
No, of course she's an amazing person, and of course naturally all the social media of all your social medias will be in the description below. But of course,
But please tell us. But yeah, thank you so much for talking with us. Please tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you, and also what if you have anything like planned, anything coming up, let them know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I was really ecstatic when I got invited to be on the podcast. I was like, yes, I would love
have wanted to invite you for 2 years now. I kid you not.
Yeah.
Before she moved to Korea, the next two guests I went on my podcast was you and Nagiri. Mm-hmm. But then when she moved, of course, her time zone changed.
Time zones and everything.
And of course, I didn't want to pass to her. And we went on your
time
podcast
zones
for a long
are
time.
hard.
It is.
But I appreciate that. I was really excited when you asked me. I was like, absolutely, yes, I will make time. I will do it. Where you can find me is almost always twitch.tv/Jiangxi. I will probably be streaming Kingdom Hearts for like the next few months.
Yes.
I have a lot to get through. I'm still on days, but that is currently what I'm playing through at the moment. And I think if I do add a second game, it'll most likely be Signalis, because I've heard really good things about that. It's like a survival horror. So I'm very excited to try that. I think that's pretty much all of my big plans. My next cosplay is just me in a card captor soccer outfit. So if you want to see that,
I need to
that'll
see
be
that
on Saturday. I'm very excited.
I'm making an alarm right now.
I love
that's awesome. Again, guys, I highly recommend you guys check her out. Her reactions to especially to Kingdom Hearts is super awesome. She's super sweet. Please check out her channel.
Some of my favorite emotes as well. But
yeah,
thank you. That is all credited to my emo artists. They are all very talented.
But yes, thank you again so much for chatting with us. But yeah, if you guys like the podcast, definitely give us a sub, or what is it? Sub?
Yeah, like comment,
we
subscribe.
Could do the YouTube
of course,
thing.
Like, comment, subscribe, all of it.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Of course, all the social media will be in the description below. Any comments that you want for the next podcast or any questions you guys have will be in the comment. Put it in the comment section below.
Yeah,
but yeah,
put it in the comments. We will read your guys' questions and topics on the next episode. But thank you again, Elise. It was lovely chatting with you.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.